Chat asks the following super interesting questions. Would the fall of net neutrality be the end of Bitcoin as we know it? No. It's been a while since I did a stream. That is correct. You guys missed me. All right. Glad to hear it. What's causing the new all-time high? Well, there's only about 5 million coins on the open market. There's more than 5 million people that want them, so everyone can't get one. Price goes up. Supply and demand. We have a very limited supply. We have a ton of demand. If you look at the signups on Coinbase, it's exponential, which is pretty neat. It's pretty cool. Come on in here, dog. My dog doesn't like when I screw with the studio here. How's the workout going? Poorly. I'm still, you know, lifting the same weight, but I haven't really gotten much stronger because I've been slacking because the price has been silly. I need to find a way to maintain health while price goes crazy, or you'll just never be healthy, right? In the world's biggest bull market. Men don't live on bread alone. We need some heart wisdom. Thank you, sir. Best mic and audio in the game. Best everything. Oh, thanks, man. Fuck Roger Ver. All right, if you must. Are you answering questions no one in chat asked? What is the sound of one hand clapping? There it is. Net neutrality is government intervention. Yeah. What brand of dog do I have? A small one. I always wanted a Schutzhund trained attack dog. I ended up with a Chihuahua. It's a strange world we live in. I have the opposite of a working dog. I have a leisure dog. Come on, leisure dog. Can I give any updates to what I'm working on? Maybe. What race is my dog? It's odd. I've heard dogs commonly referred to as having breeds, but not races. I wonder why. Should we invest in Bitcoin or wait for the dip? I would wait for the dip, but you know, you got to be okay watching the market walk away from you for a while. It's going to be stressful. Did I see what Peter Brandt said? Yeah, I've seen lots of stuff he said. How confident am I that there are really just 5 million coins? Well, I mean, worst case scenario, you're off by a factor of 3. There's only 16 million that have been mined. Satoshi has 1 million. That's 15. So assuming none were ever lost, there's only 15 million. It's not that big a deal. I mean, I don't think it's that big a deal. You could just check the days destroyed, which measures how long it's been since a coin has moved. There's a link I posted yesterday or the day before to a graph where you can find the days destroyed. I'm actually thinking about doing a video on trading. Probably will. It's just so dangerous because it's so easy to screw up. But I mean, so many people are looking at it that it's better to give them some tools than no tools, so that they may screw up less, perhaps. Count of Monte Crypto asks, when dip? Yeah, it's a good question. When is the dip? I don't even know why I'm wearing this earpiece. Bruce is trying to get his tech working on his end, so it's kind of waiting on him. And I hate waiting. Like, I absolutely hate waiting. So I'd rather do anything than wait. And I guess in this case, it's answer questions from chat. Will a single chain be awarded complete control of the Bitcoin brand? Yes. I mean, the one that has a ticker symbol, right? It's the one that you buy and sell on exchange. So whatever that ticker symbol is what is Bitcoin to people that care about price. So small dogs. Here's what's cool about a small dog. Back in the old days before alarm clocks and, intrusion detection, if you wanted to be safe sleeping in a weird environment like the wilderness, you need something to warn you when danger was occurring. And the larger the warning system, the more calories it consumed, the less calories it would be left for you. So to some degree, a smaller dog that can still perform alert functionality but consume less calories is superior. If you need something that does more than just alert, and you need something that, attacks or, brings things back to you, all the different cool features that dogs have, you could get something that's larger. But if you just need something that makes sure you never miss a delivery, small dog, very useful. Scrolling down the list here. I hate poorly written English, but this dude's named Omar, so whatever. If the only reason for a price to go up is because money coming in from new corners, is this not a Ponzi scheme definition? Please tell me your point of view. Ponzi schemes fail because they owe people money that they can't pay. When you buy Bitcoin, Bitcoin doesn't owe you anything. So Bitcoin cannot fail like a Ponzi fails because it doesn't owe you anything. So, a Ponzi that never pops, that's what human population is currently, right? That's what the United States is. That's what successful technology adoption is. It's an S-curve that ramps up and up and up until full adoption, and then it chills out. So you can't confuse technological adoption S-curves with the diffusion of innovation. You can't confuse that with Ponzi schemes. They don't. The only thing they have in common is that they go up fast. I don't think a Ponzi scheme is a good analogy for what Bitcoin is at all. Is TCP/IP a Ponzi scheme? Is WhatsApp a Ponzi scheme? No. They just have lots of adoption. It's a stupid question. I mean, it's not a stupid question, but it feels like a stupid question to me because I guess I understand it. What are my thoughts on Tether? If you tried to run a crypto business and were fighting banks all the time, you would try and find a way around the bank censorship of your business. One way to do that is instead of, sending wires to and from a single account that's easy to get attacked, you would try and use many accounts. And what would that look like? It's not the first time. I mean, other people that have used similar methods were when Kim.com was doing his whatever file sharing company he had, they used a reseller network, which allowed them to have many bank accounts for people to pay to, which gave them, the ability to bill when, lots of providers would like to turn them off. So Tether and other analogs that involve using more bank accounts in more jurisdictions are just ways to route around banking censorship. So, it can be done well, it can be done poorly. It would appear that this is being done well. In the end game, we won't need it. With CME and more large regulated players coming on board that have better banking relationship and better regulatory certainty, you're not going to have to deal with, third world banks, smaller banks. You just won't have to deal with any of that. You just deal with the biggest, most giant guys, which is, what we're rapidly approaching. So when you send money to Coinbase, you don't have to send it to the third world. It's a big first world bank, I won't say big, but it's a much smaller risk when you're dealing with an entity that is backed by the New York legislation because it's one of the biggest financial centers in the world, and they have a law that says, hey, this is cool, and they audit you and they eyeball what you're doing. So to some degree, if their eyeballing is effective, it's safer. Will you start going into mainstream media more to preach the Bitcoin brand? Sure. I just did CNBC Africa a couple days ago, and you know, small start, work our way up, spread the good word. What do I think of Bitcoin Gold? I don't know. Every single fork that you want to do, here's your option. You can either have altcoins, which don't give any value to Bitcoin holders, or you can have forks, which give value to Bitcoin holders. They're both experiments. Which do you prefer? The one that gives you value or the one that doesn't? I prefer the forks that give value. So as long as what you're doing has replay protection and is friendly and preferably doesn't dilute the brand or steal the brand, I like it. It's nice. Somebody likes my chain. It's big fist crushing money. It's gaudy. I used to, you know, not wear it much because people always ask me if I was a rapper. But now, YouTube, gaudy's fun. Why not? Where do I see crypto in 2018? With a much higher price. Someone asks, give me one coin that can get me out of my miserable economic situation. Just buy Bitcoin. What hair products do I use? I just use Head and Shoulders. It's quick, it's easy. You don't have to use 2 products, you just use one. And then if you want a lot of body, go to sleep with your hair wet, and then it dries in kind of a more up format, and then you have more body. Today, my hair doesn't look that good. I love things that save time, right? So if you can just go to sleep after a shower and then wake up with more body in your hair and not have to use a blow dryer or dry shampoo or anything, it's good. Gal asks, Richard Hart plus Joe Rogan, when? Well, get me on Joe Rogan. I respect his content. I think he makes really great stuff. He's a smart, funny, intuitive guy. I'd love to be on his show. I think he's had a lot of people on there that I respect. You know, he's had Sam Harris, Andreas Antonopoulos, Jordan Peterson, a lot of smart dudes. You know, there's a lot of thought leaders have been on his show. I'd also like to do Tim Ferriss rather. You know, I'd like to do the whole circuit, and I'm qualified to speak on any number of topics, whether it's entrepreneurship, longevity, marketing, cryptocurrency, fulfillment, personal development, you name it. Ladies, if you want to talk about ladies, whatever your thing is. What is your stabilization price to Bitcoin in your opinion? That don't make no sense, man. What's a stabilization price? It's a very silly question. How are you gonna have a stabilization price in a bull market with the price just going up? Does it make any sense? Bruce Bruce doesn't do live streams so often, I guess. So I'm trying to make this work. I have to mute my mic for a sec because I'm going to try and chat with him a different way. So give me one moment. All right, I'm back. Richard actually slept last night. I went out drinking. I'm a little hungover. I went drinking out the day before that. My body and my health is not feeling good today. It's, ugh. Drinking's so stupid. I did find a delicious new tequila, and I pretty much hate tequila, so I guess that's nice. And this, I'm going to scroll down here. Why Wall Street not into Bitcoin? You're an idiot. What? Wall Street's into Bitcoin and getting more in by the moment. What happens when all the Bitcoin exchanges are holding all the USD that people no longer use? I don't think that's today's problem. I think that's 100 years from now problem. Don't worry about it. Worry about the problems of today. Also, that would happen gradually, so it's not any type of like shock. As long as things happen gradually, they're like pretty easy to handle. Are you wearing a Rolex Submariner 210? Yes, yes I am. A 2003, because it's got gold here, which dents. 2002, this was silver, and it was a little more reliable and durable, but whatever. Someone says, I saw a tweet suggesting that B2X has been rescheduled to January 28th. Great, I don't care. Just give me replay protection and tokens, thanks. Fork away. Just, you know, replay protection, that's it. How is the project with my rocket scientist guy going? Who was working with what I believe was carbon nanotubes? It's not going as quick as I want because the Bitcoin stuff's been sucking up a lot of my time. It's going to go quicker now that I'm able to chill out a little bit in Bitcoin, in theory. Do I have a Bitcoin full node? I won't tell you. Killer shirt, thank you. Someone asked if I'm a pickup artist. Let's just say I've spent many thousands of hours in clubs having fun. So, whatever you call that. Would you ever give us a tour of your office home? Your room looks very different than most people's place. Well, you know, there's these stores, they sell antiques. You just go there and you buy them. They last forever. They will most likely outlive you, and you can sell them for more than what you paid. So it seems like a really good deal, and they look a bit cooler. So if you like more durable, longer lasting things that maintain their value, retain their value, and look better, why wouldn't you get antiques instead of IKEA garbage? It's my opinion. Thoughts on Monero? I don't know. Their GUI sucks, their client sucks. It needs rebooted all the time. You can get most of the anonymity by just having a very small amount of it, so you don't need to put a lot of financial mass into it. I do like that their marketing is not scummy, and I like that their devs are smart, and it's a cool project. I don't have a problem with it, which is better than I can say about most projects. For instance, if I were to just start giving away money to people, I might use that one because it has strong-ish anonymity, which is nice. Let's check my email here. All right. Tether $680 million pump. What's your take? Well, if you don't like the $680 million tether pump, you're really going to hate the multi-billion-dollar Wall Street pump, aren't you? You're really going to be butthurt then, eh? But my tether. I thought the price was going to go down because tether, but the price keeps going up. Idiots. Oh, by the way, if you don't like tether, why don't you start a bank account that lets people buy some Bitcoin or shut the fuck up? Those are your options, right? A lot of people are critics. And how many people out there are making the world better, okay? You don't like the way an exchange does its banking? Go start your own exchange and go get your own bank account. Or shut the fuck up. You're not helping, right? Go help. Go open a bank account and let people throw some money at it to buy some Bitcoins. Easy. Somebody says the stabilization price is $400 trillion per Bitcoin. I think that's gratuitous. I wish that siren were louder. I can't hear it quite well enough. Yeah, get on that horn, baby. Good production quality. What do I think about Craig Wright? I think that if you go on television and are shown to do things that are not legit, and then you still have a public face and persona and personality, that there's something wrong with the world. I believe that you should be held accountable. And if what you do isn't legit, then you should be punished for, being a bad actor. It's really that simple. I don't know why this space is so, I don't want to say forgiving, but yeah, too many scammers. Please comment on BitConnect. I'm about to drop 5,000 on there. You're an idiot. You're going to lose your money. Stop buying Ponzi schemes. Stop buying scams. Buy the thing Wall Street's buying. Buy Bitcoin. Smart. Will MadeSafe ever come through? Probably not. They've been around forever. They're losing devs. Probably not. What sort of VPN or torrent would I recommend? I wouldn't recommend one. Do your own research. I've brewed my own beer. I don't like beer at all. I think it tastes terrible. Still doing a fitness plan. Still doing the bench and the chin-ups. Deadlifts fell off. Diet definitely fell off. So gonna have to revisit that. It's not easy, man. I can't remember what the tequila was called, but it came in a blue round bottle. It's like San Juan, Don, I don't know, man. It was real tasty. Would you accept replacing body parts and organs with robotic biotech counterparts in order to survive longer? Sure. Are you really surviving if you replace everything? Yeah. I mean, if you replace the door on your house, is it still your house? And what if you change the furniture? Like, it's, yes. But once again, these are the problems of the very far future. What do I think the best investment for 2018 is? Well, until my token's out, Bitcoin. And even when my token's out, depending on how Wall Street goes, still Bitcoin. Wall Street's a big deal. And if you believe currencies are a war of liquidity, then the one that has the most liquidity should win. And cascade should be Bitcoin. Any thoughts on the velocity of tokens? So the whole money velocity reducing the value of a thing is only useful for fully adopted currencies. And since these are not fully adopted, the velocity doesn't matter. The velocity is probably 1%, and the speculative value is like 99%. How long has the stream been live? I don't know. 24 minutes, actually. I do know. There's a little clicker thing. When do I expect the next attack on BTC? I don't know. They're DDoSing Bitfinex right now, so now I haven't looked at the mempool. I don't really care so much. Their attacks don't seem to have lasting value. They just are ephemeral. Why is proof of work superior to proof of stake? Well, for a lot of reasons. Proof of work allows new market participants to join, and you can't stop them from joining. But with proof of stake, you could just not sell to the new guy, and then he's screwed. He can never get in, right? There's other problems, like you could sign it's in your best interest to sign and say everything's true, even the things that aren't, so that you're always on the right side of every fork, which is called the nothing at stake problem. So there's a lot of reasons why proof of work is superior to proof of stake, which is the reason, you know, the most successful coins are proof of work. Is the candlestick gold? No, that would be a big waste of money. It's probably brass. What is this on your ear, dude? This is a Versace earring, and this is an earpiece, so I can hear people, of which is currently no one, because my chat partner, he's not good at the interweb. So maybe I'll transition into just, maybe I'll chat that guy that looks retarded, but at least he seems like he can hold a conversation. Maybe I'll chat that guy. Ugh. See, I believe in aesthetic quality, and I believe in production value. And so I would hate to take what is otherwise a good show here and put on someone that looks retarded and then be sitting next to someone that looks retarded for the rest of the history of the internet. It's like, hey, look, it's Richard reviewing a guy who looks like an idiot. It's not great, you know. So I prefer people to have faces and facial expressions and good mics and, you know, that kind of thing. What is your tips for someone getting into Bitcoin now? Buy in, get in, you know, like Wall Street's not here yet, so it's probably a good time to get in. If you're trying to time the market, just walk away from you. I mean, what, we were 8K yesterday? Now we're at 9K? Who knew? Hey, maybe I'll have my chat partner here after all. All right, everybody. I'm going to see whether I can... I'm going to try and call Bruce, and then I'm going to mute you guys for a minute. You can think about cool questions. I'm going to call Bruce and see if he's ready. So give me a moment.
The person whom you're trying to reach is currently unavailable.
I'm back. I hate waiting. I really hate waiting. Going back to chat here. Oh, BTC is going up, someone says. Let's take a look. 9107. Ooh, 9120. Ooh. 9130. Ooh. Yep, Bitcoin is going up. Looks good. All-time highs. 9150. I could spend all day calling out these prices. How's that Operation Dragon Slayer? Doesn't seem to be slaying the dragon. The dragon seems to be doing okay. Now I'll be able to see the price and talk to chat. The computer audio is hot? I don't get it. I hope not. I'm not clipping, right? I shouldn't be. I don't think I'm clipping. Thoughts on Bitcoin manipulation? Well, if you buy it, the price goes up, and if you sell it, the price goes down. So it's pretty honest in that way. Why do you breathe so fast? I'm hungover. I'm fat. I don't know. Maybe you just breathe really slow. So the candelar isn't plastic? Ouch. No, it's really, really heavy. What was I doing at 25? I had a car stereo store, I believe. I was living in it. And I lived in that car stereo store until I was a multi-millionaire and left the country. It's a weird existence. I ended up kind of building a house in the back of it, so it wasn't like, you know, wasn't exactly like a normal situation. Am I still behind my 20K before 2018? As long as Wall Street has an ability to get in, as long as they do, as long as the CME launches and people are buying, yep, I'm in 20K. If there's a delay, I'm not 20K. This is dependent on Wall Street getting in. And, you know, it was much more exciting a call when we were at 7K. It's much less exciting a call when we're at 10K. So I think my 20K Xmas BTC USD Richard Hart will seem less and less adventurous as the day gets nearer. The price is going so high. 91.74. Hilarious. No, Bruce didn't chicken out. He's just bad at technology. So here we are, still waiting. Hate waiting. Let's check the email. What's my thoughts on Zcash? I don't like it. Pre-mined, 20% founders tax. No one even uses the anonymity feature. It's bad. It's all bad. What do I think about anti-ASIC Bitcoin forks? Great. Have fun. Do it. What's with the candelabra? It holds candles. It looks cool. It's got a little statue. It's like, you know, it's artistic, bro. Get some aesthetic. Get some art. Have you ever had any addiction problems? Yeah, I was addicted to video games for a decade. It was terrible. Wasted a giant portion of my life on it. Now I've got better things to do. Bruce Fenton says he's ready. We're gonna try it again. Hey there.
Hey,
How
what's
are you?
happening?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Let me close my other app that's stealing my webcam feed, and I'm gonna mute chat. Chat, I'm muting you for a minute. You won't. So I saw you message that net neutrality was like a big corporate takeover government thing. Do you want to tell me your thoughts? Or
Yeah, I think I said corporatist scam probably. It's certainly big government, I think. Like a lot of these things, you end up with big multi-billion-dollar corporations who want to use government as muscle to help them become competitive, and that isn't that palatable. So they come up with these scams, and they market it to people, well-meaning do-gooders, and they say something like, we're fighting for freedom, and then you get well-meaning people like you who get duped into doing the legwork of corporations like Google and Netflix, who want to benefit by telling the government to tell the ISPs what to do. So that's what I mean by scam.
how do you feel about rent seeking?
In what way?
Well, the commonly defined term for rentiers and economically rent seekers are they're basically leeches on the system. They get themselves in a position where they no longer have to compete, and they take advantage of their privileged position to extract rent from other entities without having to do any work. So an example of a rent seeker would be, back in the old days, you'd want to travel down a road, and a bunch of bandits would be on that road, and they would give you the opportunity to either pay them or they would rob you. And, highway robbery was what that was called. And now we have the same rent seeking by those same companies that you've described. So the problem that we have is, in an ideal world, we wouldn't need any laws at all because everyone would just act well. But the world is not ideal, and collusion and collectivism is powerful and effective. And the most powerful things in the world are collective groups of humans. And one of the best ways that we've found to overcome the negative aspects of collectivism, whether it is corporatism or tribalism or nationalism or government evil, is through the enforcement of rights. And so I do agree with you that government intervention often turns out very poorly. I do agree with you that giant multi-billion-dollar corporations don't really need a subsidy from the common man in the form of taxes that get passed on to them. In this case, however, it is very unique because the bandwidth that we use to communicate is and always will be, until mesh networks are ubiquitous, which isn't coming anytime soon, quite restricted. So in the example of highway robbery, you could say, how dare you regulate against highway robbery? You could just choose to use a different road. But that argument doesn't work because you can't choose to use a different road. And by that same token, you could argue, how dare you try and regulate what an ISP has to do on their lines, on their bandwidth? But it's a special case because there's a very finite number of high bandwidth entry points into your home. You maybe have fiber. You maybe have a single cable. And that's it. That's it. Your only other option is satellite with high latency and very low up bandwidth. So since we have a tragedy of the commons, or an emergent tragedy, which is we have very few choices, then those choices must be regulated to allow for competition. Because if you don't force the competition through rights or through government intervention, you will get emergent monopoly. and it will be bad for the consumer. The consumer has never had less choice in banking. The consumer has never had less choice in ISP. The consumer has never had less choice on where to buy products. Companies have been merging and merging and merging. There's only 6 media companies now. There's only 30 big banks. There used to be hundreds. And the only way to stop the reduction of choice and the reduction of competition is through government intervention, because it's already as bad as it can get. Now, could those laws be done poorly? Sure. Could they have been written by idiots? Sure. But is the goal a good goal to have? If you believe in free markets, they must be able to be entered and exited, and you must be able to compete. And if one piece of shit company owns the line that goes into your house, you can't compete. Just like Ma Bell. Ma Bell used to be the only game in town. Then they broke Ma Bell up into a bunch of competitors, and now you and me are talking for free. And that would never, ever, ever have happened if Ma Bell didn't get broken up. So the situation we're in is they've already captured the regulators, and they're already, no one wants to be a stupid middleman that makes no money. Everybody wants to pretend that they're generating the content and that they have the network effect. So every piece of crap middleman that sells a commodity, that has a tube, a pipe that goes into your house, wants to extract the maximum value out of the data that's going into your house. So they try and sell your browsing activity. They try and reroute the ads that go to you with their own ads. They try and sell keyword analysis on your emails. They do everything they can to suck equity and money out of out of the users of their commodity, because they don't like being a commodity and making low profits. And that is, all of those things are terrible and evil and bad for the consumer. And the only way that you won't have those evil things happening is if you have free competition, which can't happen because there's only one cable and one fiber going into your house. Or you got to put it as a law. And right now, the consumer and the average human being that's interested in anonymity or privacy or security is fucked. They have no hope of regaining their personal sovereignty. None whatsoever. Except in the few countries where they have made it a law. I saw on that list 6 countries: Costa Rica, Estonia, Finland, some other places, where they made it a law that you have to be able to get internet access, and that the internet access you get can't be screwed with. And that's super important, because the free market is not free in this instance. You don't have choices. So we must fix that problem with law. Now, preferably good laws. Maybe this current law is terrible. You know, the opposite of a bad law is a good law. It's not no law, right?
When have you ever seen a good law that stayed good and didn't expand beyond what its original scope, or accomplished even what it said it was going to accomplish?
Tons of them. The majority of laws. I've lived in lawless countries, and I've lived in lawful countries, and having lost lots of money in the lawless ones, I can tell you that countries with more laws are better in nearly every measurable way. You see, libertarians think that their personal freedom, if executed out across all the idiots of the world, would work well. But what they don't realize is, with ultimate freedom comes ultimate responsibility that most people will not accept. So I could say, you know what, I should be able to turn my stereo as loud as I want. But all my neighbors wouldn't be very happy with that. So, you know, when I used to live in Miami and sold car stereo equipment for a living, I was personally profiting on creating noise pollution and damaging the hearing of other people. Right. And I was literally making a worse environment for almost everyone at personal profit. But when you're young and or broke, you're not so concerned with the global ethics of things when you're living in a warehouse, right? But at least now, as I've grown up, I understand the global implications of my actions. And so I know that when I've lived in countries where you had more freedom, you had a lot more problems, because stupid people, given freedom, do stupid things.
Like what?
Oh, well, I mean, the stereo example is one of them. Driving recklessly is another one. You know, how dare the government stop you from going as fast as you want? Yeah, sure. Well, maybe you're a good driver.
I think most libertarians say that it's a matter of when something is interfering with the rights of others. Your right to do what you want stops when it harms someone else,
Right.
by putting them at risk, threatening them, physically harming them, taking their property, something like that. But if you're in your own house and your house doesn't, if I can't hear the noise, you can have stereo as loud as you want.
Yeah.
Or if you want to have headphones on, you can have them as loud as you want.
So I would agree with that. So then let's measure it, okay? How many options for internet access do you have? Well, I mean, I don't want to ask prying questions, but I guess.
No, I get your thing, but how about this? So I agree with many of the problems that you mentioned with this. Where I just disagree is that government is the only solution. Can't we make this a solution by getting rid of some of the things that make competition so difficult? Why do we only have one internet provider in most places? Why do we only have one pipe that goes into your home? I mean, part of the reason is because the ISPs, the big ones, will sue the little guys 70, 80 times. Talk to a small ISP. They get sued for all these stupid little nitpicky things that are folks like you, well-meaning do-gooders, say, oh, there ought to be a law. Well, then the law ends up screwing somebody. And the laws usually don't move as fast as technology does. By the time these net neutrality laws are in place, there's going to be some huge bureaucracy with some Ben Lasky type character running it, with 1,000 people looking into net neutrality. Some Trump type person is going to be deciding that it should be expanded to look into fake news and everything else. Just like the TSA is looking. Do you know the TSA is going into tiny towns in America and raiding unlicensed massage parlors? That's what happens with government expansion. The MBTA in New York has 2,500 people that make over $250,000. That's what government does. So you'd end up with this huge bureaucracy, and they would expand and expand and expand. First it's like, oh, we're all about fairness, and tomorrow it's about, let's stop the fake news, and then the next day it's something else. And that seems to be the normal case with government programs. They tend to expand like that.
I'll give you an example of a good law.
Okay.
Do you like Bitcoin?
Yes.
Do you remember the New York Bitcoin law?
I hope you're not going to say that's a good law.
I am.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the bit license.
Okay. So you've heard about the Tether scandal?
Yes.
Okay. The reason that we have a Tether scandal is because banking for Bitcoin companies is very hard.
Right.
The reason banking is very hard for Bitcoin companies is because banks get punished financially very harshly every once in a while by those big bad governments you're talking about, right?
Right.
So what we had was government unfairness towards banks, which caused bank unfairness towards certain businesses. I mean, Operation Choke Point was a prime example that targeted, Backpage,
Yep.
adult service sellers, fireworks dealers. There's a bunch of businesses that somebody just decided they didn't like, some of which were terrible, like cash advance loans are terrible. But some were less terrible and more voluntary, like the Backpage stuff. And, so we had one form of government evil and overregulation, which caused another form of evil and regulation from the banks. But the solution was one of two things. Either you could get rid of the first screw up of people being too harsh with their laws, or the other solution was we make a remedy, hack, kludge, patch, which was the New York law. And what the New York law did was allowed Bitcoin companies to free themselves of the unfairness that the Backpage guys didn't get freed from, and that the fireworks sellers didn't get freed from, and that the cash advance loans people didn't get freed from. The Bitcoin people got freed from that and got a pass. So they submitted themselves to regulatory scrutiny. But in exchange for that regulatory scrutiny and auditing, they got to have huge bank accounts with big banks. And now they have a competitive advantage over other jurisdictions that don't have those laws. The reason that GDAX is leading the Bitcoin price by $100 or $200 is because they have the best banking relationship, which allows them to onboard the most customers and accept the most wire transfers and accept the most credit card merchant processing. And they don't have a tether problem because they never had to route around banking problems in that format because a good law was passed that made up for a bad law. Now, if they would have got rid of the bad law, then the banks wouldn't have been evil, and then we'd have bank accounts for Bitcoin companies all over the place. But since that was too hard and too slow, the easy, kludgy fix was to issue the New York license, and that's the reason the Bitcoin price is where it's at right now, is because billions of dollars is coming in through Coinbase that never would have been able to get in there otherwise. So in the real world, if you can't get the perfect thing, which is stop being overbearing with your KYC AML crap and enforce real laws, not meta law, right? Like, you know, we're suing your money committed crime kind of crap. I prefer real law enforcement with real investigators to virtual fake law enforcement, right? But since we can't get that, it's just too hard, we could get, okay, we'll let you eyeball us harder, but we get a bank account. And it worked out well. So that was a good law that in an ideal world you wouldn't need, but in this world it worked out very well. And as far as a law that could exist and would work well for net neutrality, all traffic should be treated equally, period. You should not be able to dissect my traffic, I fuck my traffic, and charge me different rates based on how I use what I use, because you shouldn't even know what I use. You shouldn't be able to charge me differently because you shouldn't know what websites I'm browsing. That's a giant violation of my trust and privacy to start with. How dare you charge me differently based on how I choose to use my internet, which, by the way, is how I speak with the world. And you can't have free speech unless it's free of surveillance. There is no free speech that is permanently recorded and surveilled for all eternity. So if you believe in free speech and you believe in a free and open internet, then you must believe in net neutrality. For the anonymity that allows free speech to occur,
you don't have a
preclude...
right to anonymity when you're dealing with a private company. It's your deal. It's your deal with them. When I stay in a hotel, I give up some anonymity. You know, I can't. There's certain things I can't do in a hotel that I could do in a home. I can't, have a bunch of firearms on my bed or something, or whatever. You know, I'm sure there's certain rules that a hotel has, and you have that with when you deal with a private private company. You act like it's this human right, and you mentioned that it's a human right. Whenever you say something's a human right, that requires that somebody else has to do the work. I mean, who are you to say that who an ISP can how they can discriminate against and what they can charge? What if I have a 10-person ISP? I want to make one for my group of 10 geeks, and I want to say, okay, I'm making a Bitcoiner ISP. Well, first of all, that's illegal because I'm discriminating and say it's only for Bitcoiners. So okay, fine, we'll make it for everybody. And suppose we all like to communicate and we like to do these video chats, and one guy wants to run a live Halo cafe with live streaming, and he takes up more bandwidth than all of the rest of us combined multiplied by 1,000. Is it fair for us to say, gee, maybe we don't want him in our little club of the ISP, our 10-person ISP? I mean,
appeals to difficulty.
By law that I have to have him in my little. Suppose it was a 10-person company. I mean, it's nice when you think about these laws. If they were a small business, if it was a small business running an ISP, and you say, wait a minute, no, you must broadcast Netflix. He says, oh, geez, Netflix it's killing me. I can't afford it. Well, tough. You have to. If you think about it, like
I think that you're dreaming up problems that don't exist, and you're doing that.
You're the one who's asking for a law that is entirely based on problems that don't exist. What was so broken about the internet prior to 2015? Can you tell me that? I mean, you're inviting.
I could give you a long list of things that are broken about the internet, starting with ICANN.
It worked fine. I know. I've seen the long list. Everybody's been putting it viral. It's like, oh my gosh, Comcast charged $29.99, and Verizon was caught with a $20 tether fee.
You're not a Comcast. I can tell you're not a Comcast customer, because if you were, you would feel the hatred and the rage.
No,
so
I
you
am
must
a Comcast customer, and they suck. I mean, big shocking news. Comcast sucks. Newsflash.
Yeah. Well, why don't you use someone else then, buddy?
Go start a competitor.
Yeah, go ahead. You can't.
You can start a. How about this? Well, let's do a cool on-the-air thing. You can even tweet it. I'll give you $1 million if you can set up a competitor to my ISP in my town without having to file any government paperwork. Your precious government is the one that will keep you to do it. I will give you $1 million, an investment. I'll be an investor. You don't have to give me any equity at all. $1 million commitment. I'll give it to you right now. You can start your own ISP. In
So-
the old days, you could start a little ISP. $1 million bucks is enough to get you a little office, you get some equipment, go to town.
Yeah.
You can't because you people don't allow it, because you love your government. You love your Ben Losky. You just praised Ben Losky. Are
Yep.
you out of your mind?
No.
I mean, BitLicense was a disaster. Bitcoin has gone up in spite of BitLicense, not because of BitLicense.
So you understand that Coinbase wouldn't have like the ability to onboard customers without that law.
They existed before the law. That's just preposterous.
So you think that here's the problem. Libertarian ideals sound awesome. They sound so good.
So
you try and use them
until you end up with 2 million people in jail for having weed, and you know, hundreds and hundreds of millions killed by their own governments, and people, you know, you know that people died with you know, weapons paid by your tax dollars in Yemen yesterday.
I am very familiar with government misappropriation, and I am very anti lots of governments.
Expand it. Don't call to expand it. Then, you know, you're saying that the solution for a bad law on top of another bad law is the BitLicense, and you're saying that because we had all these crappy laws that make it impossible, literally impossible, for me to start an ISP in my town to compete. Let's solve it by
what law do you like?
Give the Trump administration power over the internet that didn't exist until 2015. It seems baffling.
What law do you like?
Do you see anything that could go wrong ever? Any possibility that you might be wrong, and just 1% chance that maybe Trump or Hillary or somebody like them in the future at some point could possibly abuse this power and expand it the same way Department of Homeland Security is now busting massage therapy places?
So,
or do you think that this will be the government program that they will always be? You're going to get Tim Berners-Lee in there as director of net neutrality. He's going to be a Trump appointee, and he's going to live forever. And you're never going to get a corrupt Ben Losky type guy in there. Oh wait, no, you think Ben Losky's good? You're never going to get a I don't know. I don't even know who you think is good is bad. If you think Ben Losky's good, I don't know.
Here's what I believe in. Okay, you're forcing a lot of disappearing middle false choice and making a lot of analogies which are inaccurate. Okay, there are good laws, there are bad laws, and then there are laws that should exist but do not. Okay, all three of those classes exist. Can you make?
No, many laws that don't exist that should.
Yeah.
You know, I think we have way too many laws. But anyway.
Well, no, I mean, it's this simple. Some jurisdictions, things are legal. Some jurisdictions, they're not. One of them is wrong, right? So as long as differences in laws exist, some people get it more right, some people get it less right, and there's variance, right? So I'll give you an example. Driving law. In the United States, you can drive when you're 16 years old by yourself, get a driver's license. Lots of places in Europe, you can't. Well, the Americans would say the Europeans are being retarded, right? Now, I could go a step farther and say, you know what? Maybe your chronological age isn't the best measurement as to whether you're a good driver or should be driving at all. Maybe we should have more advanced testing like they have in Germany, where you have to drive at night and you have to drive during shitty conditions. You have to understand how the things in the car actually work. So where's the sensor that senses whether the headlights are going to turn on? If you cover it up with a newspaper, the headlights don't turn on. They train you that way in Germany. So they have a better class of drivers. So they can have an Autobahn with no speed limit on it because they have better instructed drivers, okay? So if I fell into the false choice, you know, oh, everything's hard, good laws can't exist because it's hard, people have fucked up law before, so it can't be done right, it's false choice. Things can be done right. The reason that Republicans want to get rid of laws is because they're so bad at making them. They write bad laws. So then when they enforce bad laws, they get bad outcomes. But if you have a good law, a fair law, a low, hands-off, light touch law, the shit works real well, right? So in the difference in driving age between 16 and 18, or drinking age, you know, you can drink when you're 18 in Europe, but you can't until you're 21 in America. These are giant countries full of millions of people that have years of human enjoyment and productivity lost to differences in decision on chronological age that you're allowed to do things. And one or both of the parties is fucking wrong. Now, what would it cost to issue better tests? It'd be very expensive, which is the reason we don't do it. And the same could be said for consent. You know, is everyone ready to bone? Man, go to ageofconsent.com and look at the differences. You know, in some countries you can bone when you're 7. Some countries you can't bone until you're 18. Somebody's got it fucking wrong, right? So I believe that good laws can be written. I believe that good laws exist. And I believe the countries that have the most laws have the highest citizen outcomes. And it can't be argued with. It's measurably the fact. The countries that have the most laws are the safest, most productive, highest disposable GDP for their citizens, highest birth defect free, best survival rate for kids, best fucking everything is better in countries that are over-regulated, to tell you the truth.
Where do you get those stats? The countries that...
What's the best country in the world? What's the best country in the world?
What's that?
Do you think they're just drowning in laws over there? They're not.
You can't do anything in India without 70 different forms. I mean, they will send you from bureaucracy to bureaucracy to bureaucracy to bureaucracy. You get stacks and stacks of forms. It's a running gag. It's similar in Pakistan. Now, people ignore the law in Pakistan a lot, but there's still mountains and mountains and mountains of laws. They have laws about when women can ride motorcycles and who has to wear a hijab and when, and they have stacks and stacks and stacks of paperwork that some Ben Losky type character used to line the pockets of his crony pals, just like Ben Losky did.
So how about this one? We agree over-regulation can exist. We agree that bad laws can exist. I don't think that we agree that a good law can exist. You know, I asked you, but I might not have asked clearly enough. Is there a single law that you like?
I'm more anarchist, but I certainly sympathize with libertarians who are kind of like, you know, laws protecting life, liberty, and property are okay. You know, I'd be all right with the law that says don't murder.
So let's
I'm cool with that.
Let's restrict ourselves to the tragedy of the commons scenarios. Okay. I will state that we have two enemies, and they're both collective groups, okay? A government enforcing a poorly designed law is an enemy. And a private company abusing your privacy for their profit is an enemy. And these two enemies, they have to be fought differently and fought with different tools, okay? Mm-hmm. So free speech... most people misunderstand it. Free speech restricts the government. It doesn't restrict private people. Those are other laws, okay? So, you know, if you don't like what someone's saying in your house, you can ask them to leave, and they must, by threat of violence, right? But the government can't do that same thing. So I will say that free speech is necessary and required for functioning democracy. You can't make good decisions or elect good representatives unless you know the truth of the world. And you cannot know the truth of the world if you can't touch it, communicate with it, interact with it. Hey, this terrible thing happened. You got to be able to tell people. Hey, this good thing happened. You got to be able to tell people. And these days, you can't tell people by screaming out your window. It's probably a noise ordinance violation. So in this world that we live in, you must be able to communicate with your fellow man, and you must be able to communicate with your fellow man free of surveillance. Now, private ISPs don't like that, because the more anonymous you are, and the more security you have, and the better your OPSEC is, the less money they make, okay? So that has to be addressed somehow, and there's only two ways you can address it, okay? You could get people to care about their privacy. They won't. That's why we have Facebook, okay? And then, after you do that impossible thing and get them to care about their privacy, which they won't, okay, you have to rely on competition to give them options to choose the more private option at probably a higher cost because they can't sell the marketing revenue from the eyeballing of your traffic. So what's more likely? That I can get a net neutrality law passed which says treat all traffic fairly, or that you can convince everyone to care about their privacy and let them choose a higher paid option, which gives them their privacy, this shit ain't never happening. Okay? So my solution, it is not. Like, it's your problem.
I'm betting when you buy a PC, you just like when I buy a PC, we have a choice. We have the choice of those really, really, really cheap ones that have all that crapware installed, or you can pay a little more and get one that you install your own clean version of your operating system. I'm betting you probably choose the latter. Good on you, but it's not your responsibility to convince everybody else to do the other. If people don't care about their privacy,
it is.
They're going to learn the hard way that they should.
They're not. They're not. See, you keep treating everyone as they're your equal and that they're going to make good decisions. People don't have the time to make good decisions.
I don't want to give anybody a lot of power.
You see, you don't. It's already bad is the problem. See, if it wasn't already bad, maybe your idea of hands-off could work. But it's already terrible. You've never had less choice. Your internet connection speeds suck. The United States connectivity is lagging like fuck behind everyone.
Let's start an ISP then. Let's do it. I'll invest.
I don't think you're investing in an ISP, bro.
A Tor-friendly ISP with no scamware, and we don't follow anybody.
No one will buy it. You're going to get out-competed.
I'll buy it.
You're going to get bought just like WhatsApp did. Listen, WhatsApp was a good...
25 million, then I'll start another one.
WhatsApp, do you use WhatsApp?
I think I've used it, yeah.
Okay. WhatsApp was awesome. Encrypted, fast, free, said they would never sell out their users, never show you ads, never eyeball your conversations. So what do you think happened?
And they sold out.
They sold out. And who'd they sell out to? The biggest privacy violating offender in the entire world. The people that consume and spam you and spam you and spam you. Hey, come look, something's going on. Hey, look what you missed, Hey, remember this shit from 10 years ago? Hey, please, we need eyeballs. We make money on eyeballs. We need to consume your consciousness. We need to destroy your consciousness. Look at this thing that wastes your life away. Yes, keep staring. Give us money. It's horrible.
Hey, you want to hear a quick aside? This will be a nice break just for 1 second that you get a laugh out of.
Yeah.
You know how Facebook would feed two different, very, very different streams to different people based on whether they're Republican or Democrat, which made everybody much more polarized. So you're seeing a completely different worldview if you're red state, blue state. So
amplifying difference.
Now, a lot of their metrics are down since the election because they got a lot of eyeballs from their scam, but they burned out so many people. A lot of people said, I'm done with Facebook. I'm pissed off. I view my friends differently. I have enemies that used to be relatives. So see?
Yeah.
Justice.
Look, it's terrible. And I have solutions. I have a video on how to fix democracy, and it basically comes down to let's pay them more so that we can get higher quality applicants. Why would I want to go into government if you can't feel good buying a Ferrari? I can go into private industry and feel good buying a Ferrari. No. So if you want better applicants, you got to pay more.
Pay them more. No, these are terrible people.
Because you don't pay well. The pay sucks. You have to be corrupt to get money.
You'd have even worse people with pay, and that's even more of my money you're stealing. I don't like
they do a better job.
Can't I just keep my money? I'm a modest guy. I just downsized my house, believe it or not. I downsized my house. I'm just, I just want to keep my own money, give it to my kids, give it to charity, give it to, something better than these thug murdering.
Would you like to hear the rest of the fix? It's really easy. You'd implement voting tests. So you get better. Okay, you don't want to pay more? Then you figure out some way to get better applicants, okay? My method for getting better applicants is to pay more.
Pay more. I don't want to pay any.
Okay, fine. Then do your own.
I would rather pay no taxes at all.
I'm sure you'll get great applicants if it's only a volunteer job. You'll get the highest.
I don't want applicants. I want them to go away and leave me alone.
They're not going away.
It would be my greatest dream. I'd be so happy to get rid of these statist people bugging me. You know how many jobs I'd create?
You would like the state much more if it worked better.
10 times the size right now. My startup, I had to put a lot of money into my startup, more than most people could ever even raise from a VC. I had to put in, where it all went? Lawyers and nonsense. I didn't even get out of the gate for 2 years trying to deal with
what's your startup?
Clients crap. I could have been hiring developers. I'd be way, 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 way ahead.
What's your startup?
So I'd be totally glad if they have no applicants, if I have less people to deal with, and I could take my money and keep it and hire more people. 100% of what I put into taxes would go into my business, and I would be hiring people, doing stuff, and maybe making stupid decisions, but at least I'd be helping the economy, buying,
you make perfect the enemy of good. I suggest a way to make things better, and you say, yeah, that might make it better, but I'm an idealist, so I prefer that we just never make any progress, and I just keep complaining, but nothing gets better.
No, it's a good phrase. It's a good phrase. I use it, but it's not true in this case. I
say we should get better people running for public office, and your response is, no, I prefer worse people or no people. That's stupid.
Oh, definitely no people. I thought about running. I did an exploratory committee for Congress, and I'm never going to do that again. And I don't think I'll ever run for anything. And I'd encourage people to not, because I thought about it a lot.
If it paid better, might you reconsider?
What's that?
If it paid better, might you reconsider?
No.
Someone would.
I wouldn't do it for, even for a lot of money, I wouldn't do it. No.
Do you want to hear my other two solutions?
Earlier in my career, when I would have been more interested in higher pay, I wouldn't have done it for the money so much. The people who do it tend to seek power, is what they seek. They want power over you. They want to expand.
Everybody wants power.
More people that they hire. If you're head of net neutrality, or you're head of bit license, and you have 14 employees, what do you think you want to do? You want to have 40, 50, and 100.
Yeah,
you want to
progress can be had, and improvement can be had, and your narrative that everything sucks doesn't achieve those ends, right? So, like, for instance, I could.
It's not a narrative. I mean, it's funny that statists act like there's this thing like, well, our opinion is fine over here, and yours is radical. No. My belief is that everything that the statists believe it's all bad. I think it's all bad. I don't think any of these agencies help. I don't think there's any good from any of these people in government. They're all wasteful. I wish they would all go home and leave me alone and let me keep my own money, so I could go and hire engineers and do stuff that's cool.
First of all, that option is totally available. You just need to move. Okay. So first of all, you're being a pussy. Just move.
Oh boy, move to Somalia.
You don't have to move to Somalia, buddy. You can move to any country that doesn't charge you capital gains tax.
Wait. I'm going to check off move to Somalia. I'm sure Who Will Build the Roads is coming up later.
No.
Wait for that one.
There are a shitload of countries with preferable tax treatment. You can look them up on the FATCA list, or whatever the fucking list of OECD countries that they're angry at. There's a whole long list of them, okay? But you chose to live in a country that you don't like the tax system. That's your choice, okay? So in this case, as a person that believes in voluntarism and libertarianism and personal decisions.
I was born here, so I didn't really choose it. I was born here. And you have lifelong taxation as an American, even if you do move. You're still taxed.
True. It's not true. It's not true.
How is that not true?
You know Roger Ver?
Yeah.
You know Roger Ver renounced his citizenship?
Right.
He got citizenship in St. Kitts?
Right.
He don't pay American tax anymore. Okay?
Right. Yeah, if you renounce. Okay, sure.
Well, there you go. Okay? Notice he's not dead, but he doesn't pay tax, so it's not lifelong, right?
Right.
So.
No, I said if you're an American.
I'm giving you solutions that will make the world better, and your response to them is, but it's not perfect.
But
and it's stupid,
that
and you don't make progress that way.
I don't think that 1 minute of one day of some bureaucrat in the Trump administration overseeing what ISP executives do will make things one bit better in any way. I think it makes things much worse. I think it's a horrible, horrible thing that will make things much worse at a huge expense, and that's at the best case scenario. Worst case scenario, it'll do what all government programs do. It'll expand just like the TSA and just like the MBTA and just like bit license and everything else. And you're going to have with 2,500 jackasses instead of 3. And they're going to be sitting there saying, "Oh, geez, we have these ISPs under our thumb. What else can we do?" Let's regulate.
So let me make sure. Let me make sure that this choice is very clear to you, okay? Because you're making a choice that I don't think you're aware of, okay? Option 1 that will never, ever, ever, ever happen is that a more expensive, privacy-oriented ISP comes into existence, and somehow magically gets its way into your house through the corporate controlled pipe of cable, okay? Google tried to compete in the ISP business and tried to roll out some fiber and rolled out a little bit. And they've got a lot of money. And they didn't really make jack shit for impact, okay? So in your fantasy world, in your dream world, some privacy-oriented company does a better job than Google could do getting another fat pipe of data into your house and then charges you more for it. And then this just happens instantly. It doesn't even take any time to roll out because fuck it, why not? And then people choose to pay more. And then we have choice and competition. But really, I mean, if you only have two choices and only one of them's private, you would need more than one private choice to get the price down. So now we need more fat pipes. So now we're going to run 10 new coaxial
your regulations
cables.
Don't even claim that they're going to create any of this. I mean, you can't possibly.
I don't care about those regulations.
Scam is going to create a privacy-focused ISP.
I'll write the law. Okay, I'll write the law, and then it'll be a good law. Or I'll pay a good lawyer to write the law, and he can fucking write it. Okay, maybe the law right now sucks. It does work that way.
People don't write laws. Corporations write laws. Who do you think wrote the law that you're
I got corporations.
Do some activists
I got corporations.
Write it? Some MIT scientists. No, it was written by content
providers. So can we agree?
By the way, are total scumbags who censor. You talked about how you're getting free news and how democracy depends on this. And by the way, democracy sucks, but whatever you like, it depends on this free internet. You don't have free internet. You have internet that's censored very, very, very heavily.
So can we agree that that's never going to happen?
It even more. Twitter is putting even more censorship in place, and these are the same jackasses. These exact censors are the ones who wrote this law that you like.
I don't like the law. I didn't read the law. But I do like simple statements of truth, which I'm capable of making, okay? So can we agree that the fantasy that a privacy-oriented company is going to roll out fiber or coax in a way that was better than Google did?
I never claimed
it's not happening, right?
In favor of that fantasy.
Okay, so that shit's not happening. Okay, so what's our next option to make the world better as far as internet connectivity is concerned?
It's not our job to make the world better. The world does its thing. Let the free markets do their thing. If there's a demand,
do you know what free means in the free market?
Geeks who like privacy, then the market will serve it. If there's not, there's not.
Do you know what the word free and free market means? Do you know what the word free and free market means? Do you know why it's called not just a market? You know the difference between a market and a free market?
Right. Yeah. You're able to do stuff. So go ahead and do it. You know, if you want, you can provide the solution, or you can donate to the solution, or you can create your own organization or whatever. You just don't need government to be the one involved. There's a million better ways to be an advocate for it.
Let me teach you how the internet improved from the way that it used to be. Okay, it used to be that you had one provider for internet, and it was over fucking dial-up, and it came from Ma Bell. Okay.
Yeah.
It sucked. Because they could charge whatever they wanted to charge because they had no competition. Okay? Now, if you wanted to run...
state enforced monopoly.
No.
You weren't allowed to...
No. It's because the cost of the copper that goes into the house is worth more as a raw commodity than the entire British telecom company. There's more value in the copper and the lines that run to the houses than there is in the entire company that owns them. It's very, very, very expensive and time-consuming to run a new line to a customer. It's retardedly expensive, which is why Google failed at it. They couldn't do it, okay? We have to share the lines, just the same way we have to share the rivers, just the same way that we have to share the roads. You can't always build a new fucking road. There's a single point between two spaces that is the shortest distance. And with roads, depending on the geometry, maybe there's 3 or 4 points.
Yeah.
Government regulation is not the reason that we have emergent centralization in telecom providers. It is because it's hard as fuck to run copper, to run fiber, and to run coax, okay? Which is the reason the vast majority of humans have a single coax line, no fiber line, if they're lucky, one fiber line, and some copper pairs, and the copper pairs suck, right? So the solution that's already been done, contrary to the bullshit that you would have had happen. If you were in charge, there would have been no fucking progress because you make perfect the enemy of good. But progress was made. And the progress was, we're going to split up Ma Bell and we're going to let individual ISPs sell on top of the same connectivity. So you could buy from this provider that comes in over the same copper, or at the trunking line, they could unplug it and plug it into a different one. You could get a different provider over the same copper. And then, depending on which provider you use, you get a better or worse deal. And then those providers kick back some money to the underlying infrastructure to allow it to be maintained and allow it to be profitable. That's what the sharing of bandwidth is in telecommunications devices for cell phones, okay? We've got a finite amount of bandwidth that we can communicate through. And we have to do it at lower wattage rates, or else we have crosstalk and no one can talk. So a single entity, a single coordinating entity, which in this case is the FCC, must maintain two things: that people stay in their fucking lane so you don't get crosstalk, and that people keep their wattage down so you don't get crosstalk. And then we can all hear each other and we can all communicate. And that same exact system, which is the only way currently to divvy up the limited spectrum that we have for wireless, can be utilized over the wire. So here's the single copper line, here's a single coax line, here's a single fiber line, okay? And here's the base rate that it costs to maintain this shit. Now, all you guys that want to resell it and add value and make it better and add better spam filters and lower latency and bigger packet switching and, you know, bigger MTU, whatever the fuck you want to make your product better, go ahead and charge it and add the value. And then we have competition, and then we have prices that come down, and then we have people innovating, and then we've beaten the tragedy of the emergent commons, which is we can only afford in this world to have a single coax line, a single fiber line, and a single copper pair, because life is hard. And it's hard to run this stuff. Really, really hard. Really so hard Google can't do it, right? That is already, in effect, the way many countries operate their DSL. When you choose a DSL provider, it's the same copper and it's the same trunking station, and they're just plugging it into a different modem, depending on who you choose. Easy. Works. Already being done. And something that would never happen if you were in charge, because the only things that you suggest are impossible. They'll never fucking happen. Right?
No, all of the things that you just mentioned that are so great were built by entrepreneurs, not by government. They were built in spite of
bullshit, dude. Bullshit. Ma Bell owned and controlled everything until the government came and said, no, you're a utility, and we're going to regulate you as a utility, and we're going to split you up, and you're not going to fuck people over anymore. Because you think the corporation's your friend. It's not.
Into the monopoly it was.
Right.
Government wouldn't even license anybody to, they wouldn't let anybody compete with them.
It's a feedback loop. First, you had a big company that influenced the government badly. Then the government gave the big company more power. Then the more powerful company influenced the government. And then the government gave the company more power. And that's how you end up where we're at. Right. But if you want to start rolling it back, if you want to start rolling it back, you got two places you can attack. You can attack the government side first or the corporate side first. The corporate side don't give a fuck about what you say, because they just care about their shareholders. And everything you're saying costs them money.
You can go to competitors. You have a choice, okay? You either believe people are good or evil, whatever.
What?
Okay? So,
you're the false choice master, bro. You're the disappearing middle master. There's not just good and evil people. It's retarded.
But
there's a middle.
Whatever you believe about people, you're going to have people who are going to kind of run this internet thing. It's either going to be people from corporations or government. And so as you're talking about which one you want to attack first, government has the ability to cage you and take your money, and government costs us a lot of money. Corporations, you can switch. If you don't like them, you switch. Just
no, you can't. No, you can't. No, you can't. It's fucked. You have the least choice you've ever had in your entire life for everything. No fucking choice.
A competitor then. If there's demand for it, there's more people on the internet than there's ever been before. How come it was viable to make a small ISP in the 90s and it's not now?
Why don't we make more competition enhancing laws that require competition?
You don't need competition enhancing laws. Just get rid of all the mountain of laws that it would take me if I want to do an ISP. Google what does it take to do an ISP. There's a little website on it. You know what their first step is? Get your lawyers ready.
Why not make a law that rolls back the shitty laws then? If you want to make laws better, they can be made better. Improvement can exist. It can happen.
If you want to do a campaign to eliminate the crappy laws, then I'm all for it. Let's do that.
I don't mind it.
And I'll invest in a startup ISP. Get rid of the crappy laws, and then I'll invest in a startup. What more can we do?
First of all, the biggest problem people have is that their consciousness is being destroyed for profit. Okay? Giving them alternate pipes by which to destroy their lives through the consumption of content isn't actually that good for the world. Okay? If you could get everyone to delete Facebook, you will have done more for mankind than giving them 1,000 ISPs, right? And if you could add 3 years to their life by getting them to exercise and eat healthy, you will have done more for them than curing cancer.
Well, you can always get your buddy Losky. He's rich now that he's on the board of Ripple after he screwed everybody with his law. Maybe you get him to come back. He could make a law for you that says that Facebook's illegal and you have to exercise 3 hours a day. You can do it in the yard. Maybe we could wear like a gray uniform or something, be like "Go Ben, go" or whatever. As we sit there and talk about fairness. Let's
play it out.
In your ideal world, can these internet overlords, can they tell me what shows to watch too, or am I allowed to watch whatever shows I want?
Well, that's what the law is supposed to do. It's supposed to allow you to choose, for you to have the freedom to watch what you want without being taxed on it. It means you can watch your Netflix when you want without your ISP being like, we see that you really like watching Netflix, and we think we can get more money from you, so give us more money or we're going to turn it off, thanks.
I want to make a hipster ISP because those places they have the typewriters. I want to make a hipster ISP. We're not going to have any video. We're only going to have text. Right? Am I allowed to do that, or am I not allowed? Are you gonna shoot me?
How do you not know the difference between a user and a provider?
If I have my little ISP, I'm serious. I want to make my hipster ISP.
Yeah.
I'm going to have 22 customers.
Yeah.
I have 22 customers. We're going to be hipsters. I'm going to allow text only. No video, no chat, no nothing, just text. We're going to call it hipster ISP. Now, under your law, I'm violating the law. And I'm a little crazy libertarian, so I'm going to be like, you know what? I'm not following your paperwork, and I'm not following your freaking rules. And I'm going to sit here, and I'm going to do my hipster ISP.
Right.
And I'm not going to have fair content. How much violence are you willing to do to me to make me follow your stupid rule?
Well, I'll tell you. It's real simple.
Okay.
In places where we have freedom of competition, you don't need much laws because the free market usually does a pretty good job. So in your particular instance that you're describing, I don't think the presence or missingness of your thing would really affect that many people. Right. So if you decided to do your thing and people used it, great. And if you decided to...
Great. You're supporting a rule that would make it illegal for me to do that.
No.
All you net neutrality cheerleaders are supporting a rule. I said I want to make a little ISP that discriminates. You're saying it's illegal to discriminate against traffic.
I'm saying that you're presenting a false choice, as you always do. You're an expert at it. Okay? You're saying either you let me do whatever I want, or you support murdering babies, statist, murderer, whatever the fuck.
In my real life example, my real life ISP, hipster ISP,
right?
How much violence are you willing to do to me and my family to make it so your stupid law can oppress us?
Aren't you going to say men with guns though?
Willing to cage me?
You didn't say men with guns.
ISP?
Say men with guns. You know you want to.
Well, no, I'm asking you. You're the one who has the stupid law. I'm wondering how much teeth you have. Is it a suggestion or is it a law?
I'm trying to tell you.
It's not a suggestion. It's a law. So it does have teeth, and it does. It is backed with men with guns. As uncomfortable as that is to you.
Thank you.
As uncomfortable as it is to you.
I like men with guns. I am a man with a gun.
Guns over a stupid internet ISP because that's not the example you want. Oh no! I'm not talking about your hipster ISP, Bruce. I'm talking about these evil guys. No. It's always the little guy that gets screwed. Richard Gardner was strangled to death because he had too many loose cigarettes being sold. You know why? Because some jackass like you thought it was a good idea and said there ought to be a law, and they had Ben Losky or some other jackass put some law. And so it does end with the boot of thugs on your neck. So yeah, it is men with guns. So I'm asking you again, how much violence are you willing to do to stop me with my 22-person ISP? Can you answer that?
Yes, I can.
Are you able to answer that? Are you able to back up your convictions enough?
Yes.
And just have me a flat-out answer,
I'm
straight
ready.
up? How much violence are you willing to do to stop me with my 22-person ISP?
I am willing to commit absolutely no resources whatsoever of any form towards any ISP that has 22 users. because you
Oh,
don't
so
matter.
there's a certain number.
And you'll
Okay,
never
but
matter.
if I'm successful, people like my hipster ISP.
Yep.
At what point do your guns come out? 100 users?
Probably when the users start complaining about abuse of power.
1,000 users?
Well, it's not how many users, it's how many pissed off, fucked over users there are,
So
right?
if they're pissed off, then
Yeah.
then the guns come out? All right. So,
Probably.
So once I get 1,000 users and I decide
Mm-hmm.
to check, I said hipster ISP was a stupid idea. I'm going to allow video, and those people complain. Then the guns come out.
You know what? Let me crush your argument for you real quick, all right?
Oh, good. Please do.
I'm going to rape your
I
argument
can't
for
wait
you
to hear
on
it.
screen. It's going to be brutal. So Bruce is connected to Richard's ISP. And Bruce, being the libertarian, anti-government guy that he is, prefers the unfair, choiceless world that he lives in, because even though it's shitty and choiceless and he can be abused by the one or two companies that he can choose from, you know, it fits in with his narrative of, you know, life sucks, but it's okay that it sucks because, well, my feelings or whatever.
No.
So I decide that I'm going to watch Bruce's feed for character strings of Bitcoin addresses. And then whenever Bruce goes to a website that asks for Bitcoin, I take that address and 1 out of every 10 of them, I insert my ISPs. And you know what? Bruce doesn't know the goddamn difference because it's very hard to know the difference. So now 1 out of every 10 of Bitcoin transactions Bruce wants to do, I replace one of his fucking addresses he's trying to send to with one of my ISPs. Now, Bruce, he's okay with that because, you know, it's my internet line and I can do whatever I want with my internet line because I'm the fucking ISP, baby, and I own it. And you're going to send men with guns to tell me that I can't replace a couple characters on my servers? How dare you? How dare you?
Wait, this hypothetical Bitcoin thing, you got to make it better. You got to make the Bitcoin that's being stolen, it's got to be for the children. You got to do for the children. It works better, trust me.
Right.
Be like, no.
So,
it was for the children, and my mean ISP stole it because you can't answer the question about how much force you're willing to use on my ISP. So you change
Bruce,
subject to some completely different crap. Just like your buddy Ben Losky, who says, how many flowers must we kill to stop another 9/11? He literally used 9/11 as an excuse of why he has to have this bit license.
Right. So when I replace all of Facebook's ads with my ISP's ads, because it's very easy to do, it's my ISP. I can do whatever I want on my line, right? I can do no harm, right? When you send nudes back and forth to your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever your thing is, I can just watch them and have a good wank, right? Because it's my ISP, right?
ISPs that do that in the world.
Yeah, it's my ISP, and it's cool, and it's fair, because it's my ISP, and I own the line, right?
If we have an agreement
or is it not
between
cool?
you and I, then whatever the agreement is fair, yeah.
Oh, so ISPs can do evil and are currently doing it, and it's not cool, right? And it could be fixed.
Every person has an agreement to do what they want voluntarily.
Right.
If somebody's cool with sharing their nudes with their ISP, great. If they're cool with getting their Bitcoin stolen, that's great for them too. I'm personally not cool with that.
Right. So why don't we make a law that says that you have the right to privacy? And then we could say the people that violate your privacy, particularly for profit, should be penalized. Seems fair. Seems nice. As a matter of fact, it's a digital analog for rules we already have in the real world. So why don't we take all the good laws we have where you're not allowed to fucking get your binoculars and look in my bathroom and be like, yeah, let's sell that shit on the live stream. Let's sell that on the internet. Why don't we take those real fucking useful, effective, everyone loves them laws, everyone but you, and implement digital versions of them. So you're not allowed to do surveillance on me for your profit. You're not allowed to do evil and replace ads and get in the middle of my communication with servers and start injecting your own bullshit because you're just a dumb pipe. And you need to stay a dumb pipe, and you need to stay a utility and stay out of my business. Utilities exist. You need access to water, you need access to food, you need access to air, and in the year 2017 and soon 2018, you need access to non-surveilled digital communication with your peers. And I know it upsets you that, we need laws to make this shit happen, but we need laws to make it happen because the situation is fucked currently, and it's getting worse. It's not getting better. There's less companies that you can choose. If you get banned by Amazon, Google, and Facebook, you might as well be fucking deceased. I guess throw Twitter in there. If those 4 companies banned you, you almost cease to exist as a human being. They should be regulated as utilities, for the love of Christ.
Those guys are the ones who wrote the law that you like.
Fuck that law. Make a better one. But the mission, the goal, is to empower the humans.
Net neutrality, it's cool. Because I got my eye on the marijuanans. The marijuanans are trouble. You know about the marijuanans?
I'm not.
These places like Colorado and California, they're running wild. They're stabbing and everything. So being a strong state, we need to stop the marijuanans. And so what I could do is I could say, let's stop the marijuanans, kill all pot smokers, and we'll call it net neutrality. But you'll say thumbs up and you'll share the hashtag because it has the right name, right?
I can't even get this extension.
You admitted you didn't even read the law, but you're for it because it has a cool name. That's how they
I
get
don't
users.
care about the law.
This is a stupid law that we're making, but we're going to call it net neutrality.
Listen,
so people will
the law might suck. The law might be evil. I'm not here to defend the law I didn't read.
But
I am here to defend the concept of users having control of their own data and being able to communicate with each other free of surveillance and free of rent seeking. That is my mission. That is my goal. And I need not read any fucking law to make those clear statements of intention and clear statements of better and worse. Surveillance sucks. Corporatism sucks. Consciousness of economy and chewing up human beings' lives for profit by addicting them to their phone is bad. And we can fight it and we can make a better world. But we can't do that with our heads up our ass dreaming of things that can't come true. The law that you hate, the New York law, is the reason the Bitcoin price is where it's at, because they could get a bank account.
No.
It is.
No, it's not. No.
So why is GDAX leading? Is it because their prices are lower? Nope. Why is GDAX leading the price? Because they've got the best user onboarding, because they have the best banking relationships. Period. And by the way, if you don't like the way that the banking law works, why don't you start a bank and start onboarding companies? Why don't you start a bank?
I thought about starting a bank. It's an incredible pain in the ass.
Yeah, and they'll shut you off.
Lots and lots and lots and lots.
Yeah, and they'll shut you off too, because your correspondent bank will turn you off, and you know they fucking will, because the reason you won't start that is because you can't start that, because your correspondent bank will shut you off, which is why so many credit unions have shut people off. Because they went from the normal banks to the credit unions, and they went from the credit unions to the Indian reservations. And as soon as they're done with the Indian reservations, they're going to go offshore and get raped on fees. But hopefully, they won't have to do that because of the New York law. The only reason that you don't already have to use Indian reservations now is because of the New York law. So my point to you is, progress can be made. Better and worse exist. Stop assuming that things are black and white. There's a whole lot of really good gray that is better than the old gray, okay? Users need rights shoved down their throat because they're not smart enough to ask for them, and they're not smart enough to enforce them, okay?
Government is good at shoving. They are good at that. They're good at shoving. They're good at killing. So that'll help you in your plan.
Do better and worse governments exist?
Because, well, that's good, though. Governments are tough. You're going to need a strong arm for this because some people are going to resist, so that's good. You got those guys on your side, so that'll help.
You know better and worse governments exist, right? And you know some governments have gone from bad to good, and some have gone from good to bad. You can't just stop playing the game because the game's hard.
Ranges of bad to less bad.
Yeah, but your suggestion is to not play the fucking game. You're like, you know what? Politics sucks. I'm not going to play it. Getting elected sucks. I'm not going to try. Taxes suck. I'm just going to whine about it on the internet, but I'm not going to move. You talk a lot of shit, but you don't do a lot of shit.
I did move. I just moved. I moved my entire company. I moved my house in 12 years just to go to a state that has less taxes. 100% because of the taxes. I moved to New Hampshire because of the Liberty Movement, because of the taxes. So I am practicing what I preach.
Well, you know why the libertarians live in New Hampshire? Because they voted on it using the Condorcet method. Wouldn't it be great if we used a better, non-first past the post, ranked list system for voting? Wouldn't that be improvement? Couldn't we get ranked lists to be used so we could get people that agree?
How about we just have less voting so we don't have assholes deciding what we are doing with our own money and our own time? How about we just leave everybody alone and don't feed the beast?
Right.
And the reason I don't want to be in politics or vote or participate is because I don't want to help an immoral, unjust system.
So I suggest we improve the voting system, and you said no improvements because I don't like it. I said that we should pay people more to get better applicants. You said no paying anymore. I don't like it. I said we should give users more choice by forcing the pipes to allow multiple competitors to go on it, just like they did with DSL, I think you just dodged that question entirely, right? Every time I make a suggestion that would make the world a better place, you say, yeah, but it's not perfect. I want nothing.
No,
that's dumb.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying those things happen because of private industry, not because of government. All these things you've mentioned, they weren't done by who did the work?
First of all, the internet was a product of the government.
Washington, D.C.?
The internet was a product of the government, and vast swaths of research in basic chemistry and science are still products of the government, because governments sometimes can have longer time frames focus than venture capitalists. Venture capitalist time frames stop at 10 to 15 years. Nobody's playing the 20-year game. If you want things that take longer than 20 years, like fusion, governments need to do it, because in some rare instances, the market does not work. Pipes that are single thing, like roads, waterways, frequency bandwidth.
You say roads, awesome. Who will build the roads? I mean, who would build them? That's the thing.
No, it matters.
Can I ask some things? I'm curious, since you love government so much, what are your favorite parts of government? You mentioned bit license and Lasky. That's good.
I love education.
It drove out thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs and made New York a desert of innovation and a laughing stock of the world, and delayed honest businesses by years and years and years. So other than that, what else do you like? Do you like the DMV? Do you like the drug war? Do you like the TSA? You didn't really bat an eye when I mentioned that the TSA has expanded in their scope to now bust massage parlors. Do you agree with that? Do you think that's a good use of the TSA? Would you rather have them going after people with beards in caves,
right,
or do you think massage parlors is a good thing? Or does it shock you that government expanded beyond its original scope? Are you sitting there saying, "Oh my gosh"?
The answer to bad government.
What are they doing?
Right. The answer to bad government is not no government. It's good government. The answer to bad laws is not no laws. It is good laws. I don't know why you find it so hard to see the middle. The middle is what makes those countries that score better, score better. There are countries that are better than America. They test better. Their citizens have higher health outcomes, higher
those scores
productivity.
By, like, the UN and stuff, those are really good. They're not biased at all.
Dog, if you think America is the best country in the world,
IMF,
you're not paying attention.
No, you said you scored. Let me hear who the score is. Snopes? I mean, give me the rating. Which score? Which methodology did you use? I'm curious.
I don't know how it's beneficial to pick on retarded kids, and the TSA is a retarded kid. It's security theater. It's the worst. It's the biggest, shittiest, new government, fucking giant shit waste. It's the worst, right?
But your net neutrality, that would never happen with net neutrality. No way.
They have nothing in common. They have nothing in common.
Because you're going to pay them so much.
You're making very stretched analogies. You're picking on retarded kids. Like picking on the, like, I could say, that would be like me saying, you know, this restaurant I eat at, it's the TSA. You know, Bruce Fenton, he's the TSA. Like, it's a stupid, you just can't call things the TSA.
Well, who do you, well, that's why I was asking who you like, because I don't like any of them.
No,
So
I hate the
DMV,
TSA.
IRS,
I can tell you right now. I can tell you right now all the things I don't like. Okay? The TSA is terrible. Security theater is terrible. Molesting kids and old ladies getting on airplanes is terrible. Okay?
EPA, that's got the word environment in it, so that's got to count for something. Because when I think of environment, I think of like birds and, you know, like dolphins and stuff. So environment's in it. It's got to be good. Like environment.
You understand that rights came into effect because not having them was worse. And the EPA has done good things and bad things, but mostly good things. And the TSA has done bad things and mostly bad things. And what I like in government, I like the education system, because if you let people stay stupid, they say stupid, and then they rob your house in their free time. So it turns out schools are good. This is the
false analogy that you guys make. It's either no education or government. Like they're going to be stupid without education. You talk to my kids sometime who are homeschooled. Tell me how stupid they are. You know. I mean,
I think homeschooling's great. What's wrong with homeschooling? You don't need
government to be smart. And this is the thing. You guys think there'd be no roads without government. There'd be no internet without government.
Yes, there would be.
No medicine without government.
Yes, there would be. I am not dumb. I know all of those things would exist. My statement is very clear. There are certain exceptions where the free market does a bad job. They are around things where competition cannot occur.
Well,
sometimes
isn't one of them. So you
Yeah,
just mentioned you
sure.
like government education. Government education is a big sham, and it's another corporatist thing. There's billions and billions and billions of dollars being made for government.
I think the education system is terrible, and I think that a lot of
You
private
just said you
innovation
liked
could make it
government
better.
education. Without it, people would be stupid.
Listen,
There's 30,000 people in the Department of Education in Washington, D.C. Now, remember, the schools aren't in Washington, D.C. The schools are in the communities where they are. And they have their own
Right.
departments of education and superintendents and infrastructure with their own thing, and then their own state Department of Education. So tell me, what are those 30,000?
you're picking on retarded kids again, okay?
No, but you just said you liked them. I said, what? Name anything in this godforsaken, awful, murderous hellhole of thieves called government that you love so much. I gave you the TSA and the DMV and the IRS and now the schools. You said schools. Tell me one thing that you like. The military, you like bombing brown people? Is that one of your favorites? Christ. The drug war?
Oh
no,
my
give
God.
me anything that you love about these thug bastards.
Can I ask you a question?
So wonderful.
What exactly?
You want them to run our internet.
What exactly does blowing up brown people have to do?
Just say one thing about the government that you love. Go ahead. Your favorite department. Go.
My favorite government department.
I'll even give you mine as a bonus.
I'm thinking. I'm being thoughtful. I really want to know what my favorite government department is.
Good. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt because I even have one that even I don't mind. Imagine that.
I like the guys that won World War II. So whatever part of the government was responsible for winning World War II, I like them.
I attribute that to the people. Though that's a war the people would have fought. The people would have mobilized, and it wasn't so much government. You would have had generals and stuff like that. But a just war like that.
I think that was a just war.
I'll strap up. But for these bullshit wars that they have,
they're all bullshit now.
I think it's worth it.
Well,
We're
like
not really protecting
the weird thing is, like, I agree with you on 90% of your like pointing at things that suck, but I just can't. I can't feel as though I'm profiting by pointing at the things that suck and being like, yo, those things suck. And therefore, somehow your net neutrality argument sucks.
Because we're trying to get you guys to connect that, like, you realize this net neutrality thing. You realize that the head of the FECC is appointed by Trump, right? You know that? You know Trump.
You're using appeals to authority, and they're bad.
When the net neutrality people have their hooks in the ISPs, and they can tell ISPs what to do, and the president of the United States tells your boss's boss, the director of the FCC, that we got to crack down on fake news. What do you think happens? Do you think you ignore the president of the United States when you work at the FCC?
I think that you're picking on a law that may be poorly written, and I don't see the profit in it.
No, the point is
I want to design a good law.
Any law.
You want to design no law. I will make progress. You will not.
The person at the FCC is in charge of it, and President Trump calls them up and says, you got to crack down on fake news. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to say, no, Mr. Trump, that was not under the spirit that Richard wrote that law under, Mr. President.
So you take a very simple argument, which is, we want you to treat all traffic similarly.
Right.
And then somehow you extend that statement to blowing up brown people, the DMV, a lot of other shit that is 100% unrelated. They're all appeals to authority, okay? So for instance, the appeal to bad government or good government.
Right.
One side of World War II was a bad government. The other side was a good government. And then there was a side that like flipped back and forth, right? Like Russia kind of was.
Well, yeah, good.
You can't just say that everything a government does is bad. You can't just say that everything a government does is good, and it's not useful to make everything so fucking blurry.
I think everything government does is bad, pretty much. But anyway, you
should live in a country without a government sometime, and you'll fucking beg for it.
Yeah, there's
different
reasons for. I've been to a lot of different countries. I've lived in a lot of different.
Okay, well, what's the least governed country that you went to?
The least what?
Governed. The least government. Which one?
I don't know. Some of the most screwed up ones have the most government, like Sri Lanka and Pakistan.
No, but I'm talking about places you've been. What country did you go to that had the least government? I've never been to fucking Sri Lanka. I don't know anything about Sri Lanka.
I don't know. I'd have to think about it. I don't know. All
right. My point to you is
all
progress can be made.
I mean, the U.S. If your point is that the U.S. has less, certainly the U.S. is on the lower side. It's one of the less government.
Cool.
You know.
Look,
the EU used to be all right, but they've gotten a little crazy lately. So
America does get some things right. Not everything.
Yeah,
just
because
some things right.
We have less government than most people, so we're less horrible.
Look, some places you need more. Some places you need less. Less isn't always the answer. Okay?
I think it is with government. With
it's
certain
not.
things like, yeah,
it's not. Let me give you an example. Fraud. Okay?
Yeah.
How is the world benefited by allowing advertisers to make false and misleading statements? It's not. It's worse for everybody. It's worse for the consumers. It's worse for the judges that have to handle the cases. It's worse for all the fucking lawyers that could be doing something good with their life but are sitting arguing over stupid shit that should have never happened. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So a good, well-written law is very similar to a good, well-written contract in that it prevents conflict and it prevents harm. And everyone that's participating, for the most part, enjoys the participation. It's just like going to play a sport. When you go to play a sport, there's rules, and those rules make the sport better and more enjoyable for everyone. The people that are watching, the people that are playing, and they have referees. And the referees, they're not in the game. They're not playing. They're one meta abstraction to the side that regulates it, kind of like a catalyst, right? Without the catalyst, without the framework, without the rules.
He was totally on the outside. He's helping the little guy, and he did this thing. He wasn't trying to help by exempting banks. I mean, he just did that to help the little guy. He didn't exempt banks because like a bank asked him. Of course not. No, he did that to help the little guy, and now he's on the outside because he's on a board of a $10 billion company called Ripple, right? Is that what you mean by being on the outside? Give me a break. These guys aren't on the outside. There's scammers like Losky, your buddy Losky, who made you scammy rule. There's scammy people who are in bed with corporatist people that they help out. He put that banking clause in there to help out his banking cronies who helped him get a job.
Picking on corrupt people is a very easy target that I can also perform the same activity.
But you
choose not to.
He's corrupt
because I prefer a higher quality of discourse.
Do you think Ben Losky is corrupt?
I think that if you go to work for an entity that you at one time regulated, it is the revolving door of corruption. So I would prefer to see laws that barred people from working for or even in the same industry of things that they had one time administered. I think it's gross. So
when everybody was saying that Ben Losky's cool and they were praising him and they were tweeting,
I don't think anyone did that.
This guy's a bad guy who's going to cause bad things for our industry, and I've stuck with that all along, and it looks like I was right. And other than you, who think that it was good.
Well, I mean, it's the question of, do you want Coinbase to have a better or worse bank account? That's the only.
They would have had a good bank account anyway.
No.
They didn't get that because of BitLicense.
They literally had to pay giant pre-funded legal defense funds and bonds to get executives to even work with them.
Coinbase doesn't even have a BitLicense, do they? So
that's even more. I'm pretty sure they do.
I don't think
I'm pretty sure they do. Well, I mean, if they didn't, I would feel like a real idiot. So I guess I'll Google it real quick here.
I don't know. Maybe they do, but I don't think the BitLicense is what anybody would credit with helping Bitcoin. Wow, it's just hard. It's good to talk to you because I forget. I talk to so many Bitcoin people. That I forget that people like you exist. These statists. And you know what's even more crazy than you is the young kids, these millennials. They're dangerous. I mean, they have all your crazy beliefs, but they also believe in shooting me too. Maybe believe in shooting me too.
The funniest thing is, like, I'm the opposite of a statist. I support peer-to-peer anonymous cryptocurrencies and the privacy of transactions and the privacy of communication.
So crazy. Just embrace it and own it. At least admit you're a statist. How can you not think you're a statist? You literally have said that you like Ben Losky's law. You think BitLicense is good. You think the internet should be regulated by the
That is not what I said. What I said was, in an ideal world, in an ideal world, Operation Choke Point and similar wouldn't have put pressure on banks, and then the banks wouldn't have put pressure on businesses. But we don't live in a fucking ideal world. And since that shitty law already existed, and those shitty motives already existed, we had to put a patch kludge.
Once and let somebody compete in a fair market. Let me make a bank. I'll make a bank. We'll put it right in my ISP fund.
But you do understand that you're unfairly characterizing my argument, right? So I said that a bad law caused another bad law to have to be made in order to undo the first bad law.
The difference is you think that the solution to two bad laws is the third bad law.
I think that one can happen and that the other can't. Right, but that takes too fucking long. You're better to scale into it. It's better to repeal the other one after you've got the patch.
For 5 years for this scam, it's been going on. It failed 3 times because people were wise enough, but then the marketing got good enough that they were able to dupe enough people like you into thinking that it was some sort of freedom thing, and give this power grab. So now you have millions of people tweeting online like, "Go government! Let's have government be in charge of the net," and thinking that it's some sort of
I'm able to make comments that would make law more hands-off and achieve better goals because I'm willing to play the game, and I'm able to influence politics because I'm willing to make clear statements as to what I think better and worse is. Right. You're not able to do those things because you don't want to play the game because it seems gross to you.
Look at my old background. I was on a George Soros ad. I worked for both Republican and Democrat campaigns. I had an exploratory committee for run for Congress. I used to play that game too, and then I wisened up. It's a big scam. It's a big scam.
It's a winnable scam.
One thing, 99% of that activist crap doesn't do any good.
Right.
The strings are being pulled behind the scenes.
Right, but you can be the string puller behind the snes. It just takes money.
Yeah, it's a duopoly. It's a duopoly of the same thing. The R's and the D's are both trying to screw people. It's just different marketing, brand engineering, like the cars companies call it.
We don't have a labor party in America. We have corporate insane and corporate normal. But we don't have labor. We don't have green. We just have corporate crazy and corporate okay. And there are other ways. Look, I am unable to detect or find any way that anything that you've said or given as advice is actionable to improve anyone's life whatsoever. None of the dreams that you have are able to come into fruition within our lifetimes. You're wasting your breath, and you're wasting people's time.
1, support the repeal of bad laws. 2, stop supporting new laws. Stop feeding the beast. Stop participating in government. Stop going to the town meetings. Stop running for office and all this other crap. And withdraw your consent from this band of thugs.
Stop running for
office.
office.
Get to a system where we can stop paying taxes so we can starve this beast for good.
So you're okay.
But
just net neutrality. Listen, just net neutrality.
The thing is, if we just pass another law, if we just accumulate enough power, we'll be able to find these good, great people. You're going to be able to go to Stanford and get professors, and they're going to be so honest, and they're going to run the internet, and they're never ever going to be corrupted in unicorn land.
I don't know how you're confusing a law to not bother the internet as a law to bother the internet. Like, you've got it completely reversed in your head. I say you must treat all traffic the same, and you say they're going to ban fake news and start editing shit. So I don't know if you're dumb. You're not dumb. I know you're not dumb.
Wait. Let's spend some time on this, because how can you not understand the connection? You don't understand. Let me give the TSA example again, because you didn't sink in. The TSA was set up to
parade of imaginary horribles.
9/11. And they now raid massage parlors.
Parade of imaginary horribles.
Government programs expand. Forget about the TSA. We could use it for anything there is. Government programs expand.
So nothing can work because the TSA sucks. There can be no progress. There can be no better and worse. Everything must forever suck because the TSA sucks. It seems really smart.
No, because government.
No country does it better.
Power corrupts. It's an institution that sucks.
So
it's an institution that has killed. You talk about being you're worried about censorship. Government is the biggest censor.
Progress can't be made because the TSA exists. Right. Progress can't be made because the TSA exists.
No, because government
better and worse laws can't be made because the TSA exists.
Fact. 330 million of their own people have been killed by government.
Right. So when I say
on Earth in the last century has been as destructive as government.
Right. So when I say that we should make a law that stops ISPs from eye-fucking and manipulating your traffic, you say the exact opposite thing and assign it to me.
Let me just ask you this. Do you think it is conceivable at all that at any point in, say, the next 20 years with your plan, that it would ever expand beyond what you stated in the original law, that anyone would ever corrupt it? Do you think it's possible that any bureaucrat who's ever appointed by any politician to run it would ever do anything other than what it was stated? Do you think that is at all possible?
I get the idea. I think that as bandwidth and battery life gets better, that mesh networking will solve all of these problems.
Right.
We will have peer-to-peer communication.
Here, hanging over our head, just like BitLicense, which never even accounted for something as major as tokens, because your buddy rushed it through, and we all said it's too early to regulate this technology, but no, they did it anyway. So your crappy bureaucracy of thousands of people that's going to regulate the internet, telling ISPs what to do, is still
do you understand the difference? Do you understand the difference between telling someone to do something and telling them to not do something? Net neutrality, if properly worded and implemented, would mean stop fucking with people's communications. That's all it means.
I get what it's intended to do, or what it's marketed to do. Sure.
Would you be okay with a law that did that? Would you be okay with a law that said, hey, ISP, you got to stop fucking with people's communications?
Absolutely not. Of course
you wouldn't
not.
like that.
I wouldn't be
in
favor of anything remotely close to that. But
so how do you feel about
that stupid law? Let's just because I see that stresses you, that I don't want the government of the Trump administration telling ISPs what to do. But let's just, for hypothetical sake, let's say that I would be in favor of that ridiculously stupid pile of statist nonsense, and I say yes, I do want government to interfere with what ISPs are doing, and I do want them to have fairness and diversity and tell people who they can do what traffic to do. Suppose I did want that. Don't you think that that there is a chance that that your wonderful law would get corrupted at some point, even if you stated, yes, we don't want you to screw with other people's traffic? Don't you understand the nature of the beast of government? Don't you understand that in a year or two or 6 months it would morph, and somebody like Trump would come along and change the nature of it, but the power is already there because you let it in?
The parade of imaginary horribles quite rarely comes true. In the probabilistic world,
100% of the time with government, every single time, every single government program there ever is, it comes true, and it results in death.
No. Like, okay, let me give you an example. Most powerful lobby in the United States, MPAA, Motion Picture Association of America, right? Kicked down Kent.com's door, did CIA level intelligence on him, you know, came in with men with guns and the jackboot in the throat and all the other libertarian bullshit nonsense that I could spout because I'm mostly a libertarian, although I believe in some good laws. You know, BitTorrent's still legal, and everyone downloads illegal shit constantly. The vast majority of content that's watched is probably not paid for, and that is alive and kicking in the year 2017. And the big jackboot statist blah 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 motherfucking parade of imaginary horribles bullshit that you want me to believe has done absolutely fucking nothing to that. So no, I don't believe your parade of imaginary horribles. Yes, Tor still works. Yes, BitTorrent still works. Yes, you can download whatever the fuck you want for free, and your statist bullshit argument regarding XYZ law has had no fucking effect. So no.
Throwing grenades into beds with babies. We have people being strangled to death over loose cigarettes. We have the TSA raiding unlicensed massage parlors with SWAT teams.
And all that stuff sucks.
2 days ago who stole $35. He went in somebody else's house, and they had 50 SWAT teams blow up his house.
That was my link that you read. I'm the guy that tweeted that.
That it's imaginary horribles?
I'm the guy that tweeted that fucking story you're telling me about. Okay? I am familiar with that story. I am the guy that tweeted it.
That's why it's so puzzling that you're calling
because
for
you're listing a lot of shit that sucks and has nothing to do with the good thing I'm talking about. But you think you're getting points somehow.
To do with it,
you know what? I hate Nazism, bro. I think Hitler was a bad guy. I think Hitler was terrible.
Okay, we're not talking about
And
Hitler.
That's right, we're not. And we're not talking about any of the other shit you keep bringing up. We're talking about a very simple thing.
We're talking about
very simple thing. We're talking about companies molesting communications.
You live in some fantasy world where you think that your precious little government program of net neutrality is never going to get corrupted. It's going to stay in this little thing.
So because a thing could suck, you can never try. You know what? Children all die. Children all die. We should stop having them. You know what? I should stop eating dinner because every time I eat dinner, I just have to fucking do it again. What a waste. Why even try? It's all futile. It can't be done better. It can't be fixed. Look, governments suck. The TSA sucks. So we can never do anything better now. It's over. Yeah, we can't. It's fucked. Even though there's this wide range of better and worse governments, we're not going to participate in trying to become better because Bruce doesn't like progress. Bruce
It's
likes
not progress. Don't put
perfect or
words in
nothing.
my mouth. You think it's progress. I think it's going behind. I don't think that strangling people over loose cigarettes is progress.
I don't think that has anything to do with you molesting my
You don't
communications.
see that strangling Garrett Gardner is connected to your net neutrality bullshit, but it's directly corrected.
What?
Because it's exactly some a-hole like you that caused Eric Gardner to die. Some jackass sitting there saying, oh, it won't hurt anybody. It's jackbooted thugs. This will make things better.
So
that's what every single law that says, and all this misery that's being caused is caused by people like you. And all this misery is caused because all these well-meaning do-gooders were duped by corporations into putting crappy laws forward. So it's directly related. It is directly related. And statists are my enemy. You people are my enemy. You don't get comfortable about the jackbooted thug phrase because it's absolutely true and it's undefendable.
Well, it's funny because you're a statist too.
You're promoting a horrible, murderous, violent institution that has killed 330 million of its own people and is murdering people as we speak right now today. You're tweeting about it. You know that they're murdering people, yet you're calling them to have power over the internet of all things. Are you out of your flipping mind over the internet? You want this group of jackbooted thugs to have responsibility over the internet? You're out of your fucking mind.
So
no,
you realize you're a statist too, right?
Over the internet. Crazy. You think it's imaginary? Open a goddamn newspaper. It is directly related to the exact kind of statist crap that idiots like you say. Oh, great. Yeah, we'll just call for more regulation, more Ben Losky. It's always enforced at the point of a gun barrel. You don't get that.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable for me to say so. The prisons are filled with people who don't belong in prisons because of people like you who called for a law, who said there ought to be a law. Ha ha. Let's laugh at the funny libertarians. Let's laugh at how silly they are, how crazy they are, talking about their conspiracy theories.
Hey, you know what would be a really good solution to people getting choked to death for cigarettes?
Yeah, not pass new fucking laws. That would be my solution.
You should make a law that says you can't choke people to death for cigarettes.
Stop stealing our money. That would be a solution. Eric Garner would be alive today if not for people like you. You and your Bernie Sanders pals who want a law to cover every single damn thing. You don't have a right to my labor, buddy. You don't have a right to the ISP's labor. You don't have a right to tell an ISP what to do. You don't have a right to tell Eric Garner how many fucking cigarettes he can have. You don't have the right to tell somebody whether they can smoke weed or not. Leave people alone. That's the solution. That's the solution. Leave people alone. I'm sick of this shit.
How old does a girl have to be to have sex with you?
Invade everybody's life and keep us down and do violence. It's ridiculous. And I'm not going to sit here and act like it's some kind of wonderful two-sided thing. You guys are an enemy. It's not like, oh, I have an opinion, you have an opinion. I'm not allowed to have my opinion because you people do send jackbooted thugs. And it's uncomfortable for you to mention, and you can roll your eyes at it, but you do. You do send jackbooted thugs. You just said that you'd send one for my 22-man ISP.
No.
You'd send people in to what? Shoot me? Cage me? Because you don't want me discriminating against what internet traffic I can have? It's ridiculous.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
How old does a girl have to be to have sex? How old does a girl have to be to have sex?
I'm not getting into that.
Well, it matters, right? And there's a law in the books, right?
I came on here to discuss net neutrality.
Okay. Well, my point is that you're also a statist, but you just don't realize it. Because you would prefer that gay people not get stoned. And if that's a problem, you have to put it in a law, right? And you would prefer that children aren't raped. And so you write that down and you put it in a law. So you and I are both statists, and we both prefer the world to work as well as we can dream it to work. I see opportunities for targeted, effective, small laws that an ounce of prevention.
It never works. And I can't even believe that.
It works all the time.
Usually when I'm having this argument, I point to BitLicense as an example of how horrible laws are. And you think it's a success story.
I think it is a kludgy, patchy hack.
The drug war, and if I'm talking to Bitcoin people, I point to the BitLicense. Or I point to laws against gay marriage, because those things are so universally stupid that nobody I know of could possibly be in favor of them. But you're for one of the three. Are you in favor of the other two? Are you in favor for making gay marriage illegal?
I agree with you on almost every single point that you make, which is why I don't know why you keep making them. I think gay people should be able to get married.
For the thugs.
No,
I mean,
I
were
am
you
I am
were you that
capable
brainwashed
of
in
knowing
this
the
system?
difference.
Were you that brainwashed in school that you know that these things are wrong, yet you just morally want Big Brother to come in and regulate it?
Bruce, listen to the difference in communicative styles. You're running out of breath. You're yelling.
I know,
You're
because
gish
you're
galloping.
infuriating me. I wish you
I may be infuriating you.
It's so infuriating. I'm so tired of talking to idiots about people who want to destroy my rights. I just want to be left alone. I'm so exhausted by it. It's exhausting. So yeah,
I'm trying to
losing my temper
protect your
because
rights.
I'm so tired of violent
But you
people
think you're an
acting like
ISP
it's
and you're
normal to
not.
be violent.
You're what's wrong with democracy. Poor people think they're
Good,
millionaires
democracy
and
sucks.
defend millionaires, but they're not millionaires. You think you're an ISP, but you're not. You're a scrub that uses ISPs. You're protecting the rights of a class of people of which you will never be, but you think you're doing the right thing for yourself. You're fucking yourself over. You're giving yourself less choice. You're giving yourself less power because you think you're a better, stronger, more useful man than you are. You suck the tit of whatever the ISP gives you, and you say, sir, yes, sir, may I have a fuck another, because you have no choice. You have no freedom. You are a slave and a bitch to the ISP that feeds you. And if they turn you off, you will cry your fucking tears, and you will move to a new country. You will move to a new country that lets you have internet access again, because it is such a vital, important part of your life. And for you to throw away something that is so important to you and so important to so many others under the dream that you as an ISP will have your rights trodden is retarded. The number of human beings who could have their rights violated as owners of ISPs is under 1,000 or 10,000. The number of human beings that get their rights violated and fucked over getting shitty content at slow speeds with fucking shitty latency is in the millions.
Perfectly.
I want to defend the millions, and you want to defend the 1,000.
Screw the minority. You said screw the minority. It's only 1,000
Correct.
people. Screw them.
Correct.
You know who else
yes.
you can screw? How about
that
the
is
Jews?
correct.
You want to screw them? They're only a minority. They control a lot of stuff. You can take
What the fuck?
You want to do that? How about rich Bitcoiners?
Oh my God.
You want to take our money too? There's only a couple thousand of us.
So, to make sure I get the analogies right, if you support...
No, you just said it's only 1,000 people.
Uh-huh. Yes.
I'm done talking with you. You're a statist, freaking violent asshole, and I'm sick of talking to you. I don't want to be on this stupid show anymore.
All right.
I should have never done this interview. It's a waste of fucking time, and it's stupid. I don't want to talk to statists. I got better things to do with my life. I've been blessed by God to have a wonderful life that I don't need to deal with people that I don't want to deal with anymore. I don't want to deal with you.
I will keep trying to defend your right to use the internet free of molestation, whether you like it or not.